Well, hello once again. Welcome to another edition of the Overcomer video blog. I'm Dr. John Hawkins Sr., president of Gateway Counseling Center. We're located here in Boynton Beach, Florida. And we put out both our written and video blog to try to be something that will be a help to your life and enhance it, make it better, help you achieve your full potential. And today on our blog, I want to talk to you about using counseling in a preventive way. Now, there'll be a companion written blog. You can go on our website, gatewaycounseling.com, and look up both our video and our written blogs. And we usually give you a little more detail in the written ones. Now, we always hear about preventive medicine. And basically, the idea behind that is helping people not get sick instead of waiting until they are sick and treat them. And a lot of people don't consider that when it comes to counseling. What they'll do is they'll wait until they're without hope, they're kind of the end of the rope, and then say, well, maybe I should go into counseling. Nothing else has worked. Marriage is about ready for divorce. I'm about as low as I can get in depression or anxiety. And so what I'd like you to consider a little bit is to think about going into counseling before you kind of hit the bottom of the barrel or the end of your rope. A lot of people have this mindset, well, if I go to counseling, then I'm admitting to folks that I've got problems in our life. Well, hey, I've got a news flash for you. We all have problems in our life. None of us have it all together. It's just, what we decide to do about it. We can block it, we can put a mask on for everybody else out there, or we can decide to deal with and fix the problems. So it's just like in a physical illness, the sooner I deal with it, the better. And so it is with our mental health. The sooner I decide to go in and get somebody to help me, the easier it is to fix. And I save myself a lot of pain. So I want to just consider a few areas that would be good to use preventive counseling on, that would help instead of waiting long past the time that you should go and get some help. And so let me just run some of these down for you. One of the first one is self-image. Now, self-image is how you think and feel about yourself. And it's really the key to being happy in life and having a successful life. It affects so many areas of your life. It'll affect who you pick for your friends, the kind of people that you date, your ability to launch into the adult world and not live with your parents forever, and your ability to accept the realities of the world, the way the world is, not the way that I think it should be. The truth is, the world is not how it should be, but it is how it is. That's the reality that I'm faced with. And so my ability to accept that reality. And self-image is primarily in two areas. One is, am I lovable? In other words, will somebody love and want me just for me? That makes me comfortable in my own skin. That gives me a feeling that it's okay to be me when I have that. The other is adequacy. Do I see myself as good as everybody else in the world? Or do I see myself as less than? And so nobody wants to feel the negatives. Nobody wants to feel unlovable or less than. And so if you start to feel like that, there's a reason for that. And we can be a help to you in addressing those reasons. So that's one area that's critical. And, I would encourage you to do it sooner than later, getting the help, in that. Another area is change. Change is the one constant of life. We can't really stop it. The world is constantly changing, really at a blazing speed around us today. And there's so many societal changes, things that we never thought would be the way they are, but they are. And technology and, just societal values, just things are changing all the time. Some of the things we may like, some of the things we don't like, and often some of those changes create anxiety and stress in our life. You can go through health changes, you can go through financial changes, relational changes, and the people that are the happiest and live the longest are people that have learned how to cope and accept through these changes. Now, every change will produce some kind of loss, and loss produces grief. So we have to learn how to grieve when we go through these losses. And we're not a very good grieving culture, so we need to learn how to grieve in a healthy way. And we can help people understand grief and to work through it. Many people are dealing with all the grief emotions, and they don't understand why they're having these emotions, what's going on with them. And that's where they can feel helpless and they can feel like there's something defective in them, when the reality is they're just grieving. If you can help them understand that and know how to go through that. Another, I think, a major area that's good to work on sooner than later is preparing for marriage. A majority of people are still choosing to get married. Now, when you get married, you don't get married with the idea of getting a divorce or being miserable and fighting all the time. That would be kind of dumb, wouldn't it? So we get married with the idea, well, we want to be happy. But the problem is, so many people, probably most people today, they've never seen a good, healthy marriage model. And what we do when we're growing up is we just observe our families and then imitate. Even if we don't like it or think it was good, we'll still end up doing it. That's the power of growing up, with something. And so if you've had a good model, that's great. You're ahead of the game. But a lot of folks haven't, and they need some help of knowing, okay, what does a good model look like? How do I lay a good foundation for my marriage? And so the right way to do premarital counseling is before you've decided to get married. What happens to a lot of people is they'll decide they're getting married, they set out the invitations, they have all the plans kind of set, they've spent a lot of money, and then at the end they might decide, oh, we probably should do some premarital counseling, or maybe the pastor requires that. And now they're kind of locked in. What are you going to do if you do your premarital counseling and find out, hey, I don't think we're a good match for each other? Because folks, now then they feel like embarrassed, or it's too late to call off the wedding or make changes. So as you're dating somebody, somewhere in that process, if you start to think seriously about marriage, that's when you want to do the premarital counseling, before you've made all the plans and struggled with all the issues. And a good premarital program, that should take you, several weeks, maybe, a few months. And so when you do it right, you're going to learn how to lay a good foundation. And you're going to talk about some things that aren't necessarily romantic or people don't think of. But that's what you want to do, because you're making a decision that you want to last for a lifetime. It'll have a huge impact on your life. Another area that's important to work on sooner than later is communication skills. In a good premarital program, you'll talk about communication skills. But communication skills and conflict resolution really is for everybody, because we're always communicating with other people. And communication is a real challenge, no matter how good we seem to be at it. Somebody communicates and then the other person interprets. And so often that leads to conflicts, because I think you said something that you didn't say or that you didn't mean. And then I get upset with you, and then you're upset that I'm upset because I thought there was no problem with what I said, and boom, off to the races that you go. The key with communication is just hearing each other. I want to feel heard. I want you to understand my point of view, even if you don't agree with it. And you want the same from me. So the challenge of listening to somebody you don't agree with, so I can see it through their eyes. And then I know their point of view, and I already know my point of view, and then I have to make them feel heard, where they feel I actually understand their point of view. When you do that for each other, you haven't agreed or you haven't fixed the problem, but now you can identify the problem. And then you can go to solving the problem. And I always say that whether it's marriage, relationships, or just getting along with folks, it's all about problem solving. Identifying what the problem is, come up with a solution that's a win-win, something that we both can agree with, something that's fair for, both of us. And most folks, it's not a natural process, for them. But if they come in a little earlier in their life, it can help them all the rest of their life. And then the last thing I want to bring up that I think is important to work on ahead of time is emotional control or emotional regulation. One of the things that defines adults from kids is as adults, we're supposed to be able to emotionally regulate ourselves, when we start to get upset, and then verbalize what we're feeling or thinking. What kids do is they lack the ability to emotionally regulate, and they act out their emotions. And so what happens to us as adults, because of certain attachment and nurture wounds in our life, we have these areas of our life that aren't healed. So we have these fragment of personalities. So that's the reason sometimes adults act like kids, because in certain situations, I feel like a kid. I feel like I'm 5, or I feel like I'm 12 or 15, and dad is chewing me out, or mom is saying something, and that gets projected onto the other person. It takes me back in time and triggers emotions, and then I ended up acting out those emotions. And so what I have to do is be aware of those things, be aware of those triggers, and then learn how to heal them, and then work on bringing myself into the adult world, how to regulate my emotions, how to verbalize, tell somebody how I think, how I feel, what's bothered me, how I see this. And all of these things are easier to learn, of course, the younger that we are. But that doesn't mean as we get older that we can't learn them. It is possible to teach an old dog new tricks. It usually requires, though, a motivational crisis, something that jolts us out of our old normal to decide, okay, this isn't making me happy. I don't want to keep being like this. Now I'm willing to make changes. So now I'm willing to reach out and get somebody else to help me in those changes. So let me encourage you, and if we can be a help to you here at Gateway, just look us up online, gatewaycounselingcenter.com, and realize you don't have to wait till everything is really bad in your life to get counseling. Use it in a preemptive way and realize, hey, when things are pretty good, now might be a good time to go in and, get some help. Well, I hope what we've covered today will be a help in your life. And like I always say, just remember you are an overcomer. And I'll look forward to talking to you again, and go online and read the accompanying written blog that goes along with this, has a little more details. And I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Okay, goodbye now.